Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday, one day away now from Arsenal returning to action. The Europa League rolls into town tomorrow night at the Emirates. Arsenal versus Norwegian side Bodo. Glimt, Arsenal obviously looking to make it 2 wins out of 2. Bodo have already played twice in this competition, but Arsenal's game against PSV was called off after the death of the Queen. So they're still sitting on 3 points from just one game, that victory over in FC Zurich, what feels like a long time away now. But Arsenal got a good opportunity to really sort of take a firm grasp on this group. They'll go 2 points clear at the top of the table with a win tomorrow night, even though they've played one game one game less than two of the teams. So victory will put them in a very good position. Bodo currently top. They've played twice, got 4 points. I think they beat Zurich, didn't they? And they drew with PSV. So they're going to be no pushovers tomorrow. Gave Roma an absolute tonking last season, 6-1. I think they beat Roma twice last season in the Europa League, didn't they? Or was it the Conference League, whatever tournament it was in? Ended up going out to Roma in the knockout stages, but still, over 4 games, they beat them twice during that competition, including that 6-1 win in Norway. So that's absolutely a bit of a word of warning for Arsenal, although over in Norway I think they're playing an artificial surface, so it's a little bit different when you go over there than when you play at home. Arsenal still certainly expecting to pick up the win they need tomorrow night. Mikel Arteta has been speaking about it in a late press conference today, 4 p.m. it started at London Colney. Been talking about the game, talking about making changes to the squad. He's been talking about contracts to Martinelli, Saka, Saliba as well. So I thought I'd pop on. We'll talk a little bit about what he had to say in the press conference. I went by doing my usual Arsenal predicted 11 for the game, which I'm sure I'll get totally wrong because Europa League is very hard to call. Although, having said that, I did get it right ahead of the Zurich game, which I gave myself a big pat on the back for afterwards. Okay, first of all, let's talk about Bodo and Arteta's view on what Arsenal are going to be coming up against tomorrow night at the Emirates. He says, we've done our homework. Obviously, we've made the players aware of the team that we are facing, the history and what they've done in the last few years. And we have Martin in the squad who knows them really well. And he's done his homework in the dressing room to understand that tomorrow is going to be a tough game. So Martin Odegaard almost working as a coach by the sounds of it ahead of this game tomorrow, given his obviously Norwegian captain. He knows all about Bodo and the sort of threat that they're going to pose. And the way Arteta says there about they've done their homework and he's told the players what they've achieved in the last few years. I mean, he'll no doubt be speaking about that Roma game and using that match and the scoreline certainly of it as a bit of a warning to whichever Arsenal players play tomorrow that Bodo are not going to be pushovers. And the results suggest that anyway. We've seen what they've done in the Europa League this season already with, unbeaten after 2 games, drawing at PSV, beating Zurich. Arsenal still firm favourites for this game, make no mistake about it, but Bodo are no pushovers. He was asked about rotating his squad, which, let's face it, he is going to do. He's going to make an awful lot of changes tomorrow from the team that played against Spurs and the team that will play Liverpool on Sunday. So he was asked about rotating the squad. He said that's what we have to try and do to keep momentum going. The best way to do that is how we prepare every day, keep focused on the task and everything that we're doing well, and to keep humble. There are a lot of things we still need to improve and keep that willingness every time to become better every single day and raise the competition between the members of the squad, because now everyone wants to play in the game tomorrow. I mean, it's a winning team. Confidence is high, momentum is high, and that's what you want. Everyone competing and trying to force their way into the side. And what he says there is absolutely true. When he says everyone wants to play the game tomorrow, you can absolutely guarantee that the players who aren't going to be playing tomorrow, some of the players like Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, who might be on the bench but they won't be starting, they'll want to play, no doubt about it, because they're playing well, they're in form, they're scoring goals. They don't really want to be sitting, have any nights off, no matter what competition it is. And but it is a big opportunity for some of the other guys. You can't keep playing those senior Premier League players in every single game. They're just going to get injured. You need to manage the workload, and this is going to be a really good opportunity, as the game in Zurich was, as the rest of the other group games are going to be. Someone like Eddie Nketiah, for example, who was speaking to the press today after Mikel Arteta at the press conference, and he spoke about the lack of minutes he's had so far in the Premier League. This is a big opportunity for him. He took it over in Zurich, scored a goal, set up the other goal, and this is another chance for him to just prove a bit of a point to Mikel Arteta that, I know Gabriel Jesus is doing really well and flying in the Premier League, but I am here, and I am breathing down his neck to try and get a starting spot. We've seen Eddie play really well off the bench so far this season, and I'm sure it won't be long until he does get an opportunity in the Premier League, because you're going to have to rest Jesus at some point, and you don't want to overload any of those players. So big changes tomorrow. To be honest, I'm expecting at least 9 changes from the team that played against Tottenham, and we're going to see the likes of Marquinhos, who looked really excited in that game in Zurich, scored one, set up the other. Fabio Vieira, another good opportunity to look at him. I know there's some stories turning around today that he limped out of training. I think during, as always, before Europa League games, cameras and stuff are allowed in down the training ground from various media outlets, are allowed to watch 15 minutes and film 15 minutes of the training session. And during that 15 minutes, I think he took a bit of a kick in one of the drills that they were doing, and he kind of limped away a little bit. And I've seen some stories saying he limped out of Arsenal training, and that's not the case. He joined in again, so nothing to worry about when it comes to Vieira. And, so he's going to be exciting to watch. Like I said, Marquinhos is getting another chance for Sambi to get a start. Really important minutes for Tierney and Tomiyasu from the start as well. Rob Holding, Matt Turner. So plenty of players who are really going to want to seize their opportunity tomorrow against Bodo. And that's why I do kind of like the Europa League games, I have to say. Certainly at this early group stages, because you just get to see a lot of the players you haven't seen much, and always leads to quite a decent game, in my opinion. Okay, so something else Mikel spoke about is the contract situation involving Saliba, Saka, Martinelli. All 3 of them, we all know, are out of contract in less than 2 years' time, summer of 2024. That's getting a lot of attention at the moment because of their form. We spoke to Saliba about it after the game on Saturday, and he admitted that talks were ongoing. They were open and ongoing with Arsenal over a new deal. Saka's gets mentioned all the time, always linked to Manchester City. Arteta and Saka have both spoken recently, saying that they're confident something will get done. Martinelli as well. And Mikel was asked about it and what the latest update was, and he said, obviously we have to plan for the future, and we are all working on it. Edu is on top of it, and all the board will try to do things in the right way, being fair and trying to plan in the best possible way to reward the players that are, in our opinion, have a big future at the club. When we have something to announce, we will do that. He was then asked, in the past, Arsenal have let first team players go down to the final year of the contract. We know they have. That's happened so many times. Ozil, Sanchez, Ramsey, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Just so many. I can't even list them all. And he was asked, is that a thing of the past now, letting players go down to the final year? And he said, I don't know. I think every player is different. What's happened in the past, for sure, the people who were in charge had the right reasons or tried something that was beneficial for the club. We will try to do the same thing and make sure that the club is always protected, that the club is always in a good position to move forward, and that the players are happy to be at the club. So he was relatively calm about the situation. Like I said, last time he spoke specifically about Saka, he was very, very confident. Saka was as well when he was asked about it in the mix zone after one of the games earlier in the season. And it's just a case of waiting and fingers crossed that all 3 can get done. There's 3 very, very big contracts, 3 really key players. All 3 of them have started every single Premier League game this season. That's how important they are, not just to the squad, but to the starting 11. They are absolutely essential members of Mikel Arteta's squad and his plans for the future. And Arsenal need to get them tied down. There's no doubt about it, because the longer it goes on, the more the speculation is going to increase, the more we're going to be asking the questions at every single press conference, the more of a distraction it's going to become. So it's really essential that Arsenal can try and move forward and get these done sooner rather than later. You look at the World Cup break coming up and think that could be a good opportunity to really try and get something done. But then, having said that, Saliba and Saka, you would think, are going to be away during the World Cup. Martinelli, we're not sure. Admittedly, maybe they don't all have to be there for that to happen, because it's all done through the agents anyway. But you look at that time, that big sort of period with no actual matches to focus on, you've got about 6 weeks there. And that could be a really important time when it comes to the contract talks with these players. But certainly what Mikel had to say, they didn't sound like he was fretting too much about it. I thought these were quite interesting. We spoke a bit about Reiss Nelson in the press conference. Kaya Kanak over at Football London, the Arsenal reporter, asked about Reiss. And, we've almost forgotten Reiss. He is a forgotten man. He went over to Feyenoord. Had a good spell last season at Feyenoord. Certainly the second half of the season last season, he did really well there. Played a big part in them getting to the Conference League final. Was it Conference League or Europa League final? I can't even remember which one it was. But one of the finals. And he's come back this season. Looked like he was going to get a chance. He was on the bench against Palace in the opening day, and then he got the injury that ruled him out. But he's now back fit. He's been training for ages. He was on the bench against Spurs. and he will feature tomorrow. I think he'll probably start, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. And Mikel was asked about him and the opportunities in front of Nelson. He said, and this is what he had to say, he said, after the spell we had last year on loan, we wanted him back to see if there were any changes with him. The potential is there. We always hang in there with him because we see something really special. Now he is going to have an opportunity. He's fully fit and ready to play. He just needs minutes. The way he's matured in the last year or so has been really impressive. Now he needs to do it on the pitch. I remember I was over in Australia on the pre-season tour a few years ago. It was during Wenger. It was the start of Wenger's last season. I was over in Australia covering that tour, and that was when Nelson sort of had the breakthrough. They were playing Sydney FC, and Nelson started. I think he was like right wing back. I think, and he was brilliant. He had the whole stadium on the pitch. Every time he got the ball, he had the stadium on their feet, and then he went and had a good. I think they played Chelsea next in Singapore or China, I think, straight after that. And again, he played well. And it just felt like he had the world at his feet at that point. And it just looked like he was going to be the next superstar. And it just hasn't quite worked out for him. When you look at players like Saka, Nketiah even, Emil Smith-Rowe, they all sort of kicked on, got their chance in the first team and made the most of their talent, or are making the most of their talent. It just hasn't happened for Reiss, which is strange because in a way, when you spoke to loads of people, he was almost the most talented of the lot. Everyone raved about Nelson when he was coming through, and you could see. And then when Mikel says there, we always hang in there because we see something really special. He just has all the attributes to be an absolute superstar, Nelson. Great, when he's on it, when he's confident, good finisher, brilliant dribbler, fast, good technique. He's got it. He's got it there. It's all about putting it together. And I don't know if he's going to do it at Arsenal now. I think he's 23 now, Reiss Nelson. He's definitely. I'm gonna have to search that now because I'm probably wrong, and I'm sure you guys will all correct me. I'm pretty sure he's 23. He's 22. There you go. I was wrong. So before you all correct me, he's 22, which is still young, but still you look at it and think, has his best opportunity at Arsenal passed him by? I don't know. This is going to be his last opportunity, you would think, this season. If it doesn't happen for him this season, it's not going to happen for him at Arsenal. He's already behind Saka, who plays in his favourite position. I think he'll probably play on the left tomorrow against Bodo. But it is a really big opportunity for him, and it'll be interesting to see just how he does and how much he sort of takes it, because I think we all want to see Reiss Nelson do well because, like I said, he's clearly talented and has got the attributes to be a really, really big player. Okay, before I go, predicted 11 time. Now I've said I'm sure this is going to be wrong. It's so hard because of the amount of changes that Mikel Arteta makes to predict what he's going to do. Remember, this isn't the 11 that necessarily that I would choose or anything like that. It's me trying to predict what Mikel Arteta would do. Now, I think I've gone for 9 changes here from the team he made against Tottenham. I think he's probably going to go, the 2 that he'll stick with are going to be Xhaka and Gabriel. It all depends really around Cedric, and I spoke about this on an earlier video this week, that if Cedric is deemed fully fit, and he only returned to full training on Tuesday, so he's only had 2 sessions. Whether that's enough for him to start, I just don't know. I'm saying no in this predicted 11. I think he'll probably be on the bench because he's just not had enough training sessions to be starting a game yet. If he does, then that raises a possibility of maybe Gabriel being rested, because you could go with Cedric at right back and then you could move Tomiyasu to play as a left-sided centre-back with Rob Holding. But in the predicted 11 that I'm going for here, I'm thinking that Arteta might err on the side of caution with Cedric and just put him on the bench rather than throwing him straight in from the start. So this is what I've gone for. I've gone for Matt Turner, obviously, in goal. Then I've gone for a back 4 of Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel and Tierney. Then my midfield 3 is going to be Sambi as a kind of holding player in the party role, basically. And then Granit Xhaka and Fabio Vieira as the 2 more advanced roles in midfield. And then up front, I'm going Marquinhos on the right and Nketiah up front as the sort of central striker, and then Reiss Nelson on the left. So that's Turner, Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Vieira, Sambi, Xhaka, Marquinhos, Nketiah and Nelson. I think everyone else will be on the bench. I do think the bench will be packed. I don't know if he'll give anyone a full night off. The likes of Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, those party, they might well be on the bench, because that's what Arteta tends to do in these situations, rather than flood it fully with young kids from the under-21s. I think only a couple of under-21s trained with the team today, so I think the bench will be a strong one tomorrow night. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I appreciate your time as always. Anything you've agreed with, disagreed with, let me know in the comments below. What 11 do you want to see tomorrow? Hit me up, put them in the comments below, and I'll give them all a read. Thanks for your time, everyone. Have a very good evening. I'll speak to you soon.